Hello, my cookies, and welcome to Russell Cooks. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I have Ropa Vieja, which is kind of like this Cuban braised meat in a luscious sauce. It typically combines some like red peppers, some briny olives. While it's cooking, I'm gonna make some tostones, which are just some essentially double fried plantains. The main thing we are using is flank steak, and I 100% recommend finding flank steak for this recipe. You can substitute some others, but they're not gonna be as good or traditional. Now that we know what we're doing, let's gather our ingredients. So I'm gonna be using some coriander, some dried oregano, some ground cumin. Got onion. I'd rather have 2 red bell peppers here, but I got a green and a red. You want a dry white wine. I got a Chablis here for that. I know. Red meat, white wine. Just trust me on this, okay? We're gonna keep it as close to traditional as possible here. I got some Worcestershire sauce. Now this is like that savory vinegar. It's gonna bring out a little bit of savoriness. Briny olives as well. I got some evu or some canola oil, whatever you want to use. Some tomato paste, a whole bunch of garlic. I'm going to be using a little bit of Aleppo. It's a mild peppery depth. If you want something a little spicier, feel free. Salt, of course, and then some plantains. And last but not least, you might need a little bit of chicken broth or beef broth just to get enough liquid in the Instant Pot so it comes up to pressure, because we're going to pressure cook it in order to make this weeknight friendly. You can do this in the slow cooker. You can do it in a Dutch oven. I'm going to be using an Instant Pot because I don't have a lot of time. My kids are going to be home in like an hour and a half. I got to get dinner ready. So now that we know what we're doing and we've got our ingredients, let's get cooking. So first things first, you can do this all in the Instant Pot. You can sear it, do it all in the Instant Pot. I'm not doing that. I'm going to be using my skillet. It's just going to save me some time. First, I want to start searing this meat. I got about 2 pounds of flank steak here. Now, if you notice with flank steak, you see all these lines running. That's what we're going to shred. So after we cook it, I'm going to cut it, maybe cut this one into 3, shred it up so you have some bite-sized shreds. So I'm just going to season this up, both sides, salt, pepper. Don't need anything else. I'm just going to get about a tablespoon of canola oil in my pan, start getting it hot. High heat. I got a non-stick skillet here. If you have a regular skillet, that's fine too. So I'm just gonna sear this up. I want some good browning both sides. I might flip it about every 2 minutes, and I'm gonna cook it about 8 minutes total. So while that's sizzling, let's prep. Prep's gonna be pretty easy. I got a large onion. Just gonna slice it thin. So yeah, about every 2 minutes, I'm just gonna flip this. Russell, you didn't get good browning yet. Yeah, because we're 2 minutes in to an 8-minute sear. Now, I'm not going to cut these too thin. I'm going to cut them quarters, probably what you should shoot for. All right, let's flip the meat again. Look at that. We're getting some good searing. 2 more minutes. Let's cut these peppers up. And I'm going to cut these about, let's do closer to 1/2 inch here. All right, we've seared this up well enough. Let's go ahead and get it in our Instant Pot. All right, I'm just going to add a little bit more oil. Just gonna add my peppers and onions, soften them a little bit. Season this up with a little bit of salt, 1/4 teaspoon kosher. All right, I'm gonna give these onions another minute, and then I'm gonna dump them in with my flank steak. They're going in. I add a teeny bit of oil. So I'm just gonna prep my spices here. I'm gonna do a tablespoon of coriander, 2 heaping teaspoons of cumin, 1/2 tablespoon dried oregano. For my Aleppo, let's do 1/2 teaspoon. All right, let's get our garlic going. I got essentially an entire bulb of garlic. I am gonna put it through my mincer. Don't use garlic, use some fresh garlic here, please. Open the bottle of wine. Opening my can tomato paste here. You're gonna need about 4 tablespoons, 1/4 cup. So I got a little bit of oil left in here. I'm just gonna add my 1/4 cup tomato paste, my garlic. I'm just gonna heat that up over medium heat. It's gonna take about 3 minutes. And while it's heating it up, I'm gonna kind of mash it around. I need to make sure I have enough oil. Add a teeny bit more oil. All right, we got some sizzle. It's good. We're cooking our garlic. It's becoming fragrant. We're only about 30 seconds in. We really gotta cook this tomato paste. You don't want raw tomato paste here. All right, you can see the tomato paste is starting to turn a little bit darker. All right, let's get our spices in, bloom it. I'm gonna add a tablespoon of oil there. I just wanna make sure I got enough to bloom these spices. Again, I'm on medium heat, so it's gonna happen quick. It's gonna happen in 30 seconds. God, smells so good. The coriander, the cumin, that oregano is really coming through. We don't want to burn these spices. All right, half cup white wine. Let's make sure it's good. Oh, that's good. All right. Bring the heat up to high. Scrape up any brown bits that have stuck to your nonstick pan. This is pretty good. You don't want it all gone, but you want it pretty much reduced by about half. Now I'm gonna add a little bit of chicken stock and add about a half cup. Because when I put this in the pressure cooker, if there's not enough liquid, I'll get a burn notice and it'll pretty much ruin this dish. I'm gonna stir this in. All right, let's do this so everyone can see. Put all this delicious flavor and liquid in here. So let's stir all this stuff around. I want to put my steak kind of on top of these peppers and onions and stuff. All right, I hope we got enough liquid in there. If you're feeling iffy like I am right now, I'm gonna add just a teeny bit more. Probably quarter cup, maybe a little less. All right, let's get it on an Instant Pot. Lock the lid in place, close the vent, pressure cook. I do it on high, typically do 35 minutes. I want to do 30 minutes this time. So for my pitted green olives, you're going to want to get them brined and get them pitted. Save yourself the time. You want that brininess, that saltiness in this dish. I'm just going to cut these thin. Let's work on plantains. If you've never had a plantain before, it might look like a banana. Tastes nothing like a banana. So I like to trim off the edges and then I just lightly kind of crease it. So I like to cut these at an angle, about 3/4 of an inch thick. So let's just put a little bit of oil in. So I put about a quarter cup of oil over here. I'm just going to heat it up over medium heat. I want to get it shimmering, and then I sort of almost want to slow fry these big ones. I want to get them kind of brown all over. Let them cool a bit, smash them, refry them. I'm also going to add 3 tablespoons of bacon fat. Everything tastes better in bacon fat. The oil's hot, bacon fat's hot. Get these in there. Let's flip these. All right, we're still flipping. We're gonna flip again a couple more times. All right, I'm gonna give these a couple more minutes. Let's get these out of here. Gonna let them cool a little bit. Let's squish this, see whether it works. It worked. Let's do it again. Do I have a plantain press? No, I do not. So I'm just using a flat bottom bowl here. Use a measuring cup, whatever you want. Let's make sure it's got a flat bottom. I'm just squishing it down to slightly less than a 1/4 inch. Shooting for an 1/8. How about that? So now let's get them in. Medium heat, I'm gonna bring this back up to about 350 degrees, this oil. I prefer to drain these on a wire rack rather than paper towels. Oil's hot, I'm getting these back in. This second fry is going to be a lot quicker. It's probably going to be about a minute aside. Medium heat, around 350 degree oil temperature here. 2 to 4 minutes total. I'm going to flip them a couple times throughout cooking. This is the last flip. We'll give it another 30 to 60 seconds here. I don't want these to burn. Getting them out. Go ahead and season them up. A little bit of salt here. All right, let's pop this. Yeah. Oh, it smells so good. All right, here we go. Oh, look at this. Super tender. I can already tell it's flaking apart. This looks pretty saucy. It looks like a good consistency. Let that meat rest 10 to 15 minutes. Get your peppers, your onions, your sauce. Look, I did get a little bit of scorching on the bottom there. Liquid will help prevent that. So I might have needed a little bit more liquid in there, but I like the consistency of this. Go ahead, give it a taste for seasoning. I think it needs a little bit of salt, and don't forget, we got to get our olives in there. We are going to get a little bit of Worcestershire. That's going to add a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of richness. I'm going to start with half a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. If you want to use something like soy sauce, you can put that in ahead of time. And then you're going to want to finish with a little bit of white vinegar or white wine vinegar, champagne vinegar. I'm going to put maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of salt in here. Kosher salt. All right, let's give this a taste. I'm going to do another half teaspoon Worcestershire. We're at 1 tablespoon Worcestershire sauce. I'm going to put 1/8 teaspoon salt in. Add my olives. Just going to rip off a bunch of cilantro. I'm just going to stir that in too. So you got your meat. If you did this ahead of time, I like doing it afterwards. I'm just going to cut it essentially in half. And that's just going to shorten the ropes of the shred. All right, so if you're shredding this at home, it should have cooled enough and you can handle it with your hands. In a pinch, you can use 2 forks. Don't buy fancy claws or anything. I do them backwards like this, rather than, look at this shred. So as I'm done, I'm just gonna get it back in the sauce here. This is probably a little bit more saucy than you want it. This is not a stew. This is not a soup. You focus on the meat. Look at this gorgeousness. I think you absolutely should serve this over rice. And you got the tostones. Let's try it with a little bit of this beef though. Big beefy flavor. Get a little bit of that red pepper. And then bam, right at the end, I get all those spices that we used. They just kind of envelop everything. This is a 1-2 punch of flavor. It's tender but firm. It's toothsome. And then these other softened veg. It's almost like a pop of juiciness in there. Oh, so good. I like that brandy bite. The olive, so full of flavor, so quick. It's like a hug. So that was Ropa Vieja. If you like what you saw, don't forget to check me out on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time. Take care.